Welcome to a very special edition of Instigating with Clarkie and Drury. We're very pleased to be joined by a legendary special guest, if I can say that. I think that this gentleman has inspired a lot of play-by-play commentators, including myself. You know this guy from his great work with the Toronto Maple Leafs on The Fan for years and years. That was back before it was even called The Fan, Clarkie. That's way back there. Did great work for the Maple Leafs. You know this guy from Olympic coverage, versus on NHL, but of course, I think you would all know him as I know him best, as the legendary voice for over 2+ decades of the Detroit Red Wings. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ken Daniels to the show. Ken, how are you?
Well, after that intro, I can't wait to hear what I have to say. That was amazing.
I can't wait either.
Thank you very much. You're far too kind, but thank you. Thank you very much.
I think I speak for everybody in the broadcasting industry that's watched hockey for more than 5 minutes that you've inspired an awful lot of people, including my career. I want to ask you right off the hop, though, some wild news out of the Detroit market dropping today as we record this on Wednesday. Obviously, Steve Yzerman, the legendary Red Wing himself, is out as general manager. He's going to move up into the C-suite, if you will, and kind of take over a bit of a different role than what he's been, doing for the last 7 or 8 years now. When you first heard this news about Yzerman moving out of the role, and they've yet to, kind of announce his successor, what was your reaction, and why did the so-called Yzer plan not quite come together?
Well, in terms of reaction, I mean, I was shocked. If I wasn't, I was much more shocked at Dylan Larkin's trade request than I was, with Steve Yzerman, because since April 19th of 19, he's been in the chair. He was left with very little, if not nothing, when he came in here. So, if Dylan Larkin does end up leaving, all he's got from Ken Holland's time here is Michael Rasmussen. That's it. So, it's been a struggle. So I was certainly shocked. Dylan Larkin, on a scale of to 10, he was 100 at being shocked. Steve Yzerman was probably 8 or 9 on that, because I thought if things didn't go well this season, then he'd probably be gone anyway. But I don't. This wasn't just a today thing. I'm sure this has been in the works for a couple of weeks with ownership and discussing how to move forward. It would have been best, I guess, in hindsight, if they'd done it mid-April, if you're going to make that move, and then you've got other folks handling free agency in the draft. But having said that, if it was just the last few weeks and the Dylan Larkin thing didn't break until June, and then you've got the free agency, you've got the draft, at that point, I can see why Steve Yzerman was still there. And he is still here. He's consulting with Chris Ilitch, and I guess I'll have a hand somewhat in finding the successor. But it depends how long that's going to remain. When on April 19th of 19, when he took over, it's so easy to remember because of his number 19. When Ken Holland stepped aside and he was sort of going into a Steve Yzerman role, and Ken Holland left the room, and I said, how long is this going to last? And he said, well, I'm going on vacation. I'll call you when I get back. And he was never coming back. He went to Edmonton. So, I don't know how long, what role it's going to be. I don't know.
Do you think it's tied in at all to the Larkin situation?
Oh, yeah.
I.e., like, do they think maybe Larkin can still stay if a new guy's in charge?
Well, we're all guessing that. How do you massage it? The guys in the room, I'm sure they're probably even split in the room, just like the fans are here in Detroit. Many will, be on Dylan Larkin's side, saying Steve didn't do enough. I can understand why Dylan would do that. And others will say Dylan's a hometown kid. He's captain of the team. You go down with the ship, or, you raise that ship up by your play. So it would take a lot of massaging with the new guy, and that's maybe, I don't know this. Maybe that's what they were thinking in making a change. Can we do this? A new guy comes in. Dylan, you had your trade requests. I don't think fans forget that. Can you forgive that? I don't know. That's up to them, I suppose. Is the room, some of the players, how players are, they're pretty tight. They can understand it. Many probably wish that group chat from the American Olympic team never happened, because it screwed a lot of franchises, including Ottawa, and what was going on. And even when Quinn Hughes was gone before that. And so I guess it could work. But again, some in the room are probably going to say, geez, Dylan, you're the captain. How'd you ever say you want out from us? And others will say, Dylan, we understand what you're doing. But bottom line is, if they massage it, if they find a way, and a new GM comes on board or president, and they said, Dylan, give us time here. Let's see, follow our lead. Let's see what we do here. But again, I don't know. There's going to be fans who are going to say, I don't care about that. He wasn't with us, live and die. He wasn't with us. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, but I do think if this was still hanging over, and if you know Steve Yzerman and his history, it could have very well gone into September. And then Dylan, you're either coming to camp, which is awkward, or Dylan, you're sitting home, you're not getting paid because you're suspended. That was it. So is this the lesser of two evils? Maybe. We're going to find out. I don't know.
We certainly are, and it's an awkward situation, like you said, Kenny, because, Larkin was kind of marketed as the centerpiece of the so-called Yzer plan and the rebuild plans, and he had some highs and lows in Detroit, sure, and, the team last year and on another occasion a couple years ago were in a playoff spot. As a matter of fact, they were leading the division at Christmas time, and they missed the playoffs. What caused this? Like, when you watch the team closer than just about anybody, you got the best seat in the house. When you look at this team from last year specifically, in your opinion, what holes on the roster caused them to collapse like this again?
Well, 5-on-5 scoring was horrible. And I don't know if Dylan Larkin had, I don't know what it was, just a handful, if that, since December to the end of the year. Now, he had great Olympics, obviously, and he missed some time. Others were hurt. I know that, but big deal. A lot of teams have injuries, but that speaks to the depth. And I think there was somewhat, although, sometimes the media can make more of it, March, and they're talking about it. But I think guys in the room were talking about it, about March. And what's with this March? And then other guys come on board. Well, we talk about March. And it's just in the heads. But that's when your leaders have to go, no. Screw March. Comes after February. We didn't play many games in February because of the Olympics. Let's go. This is different. But January 24th, I think they were leading the conference. Or tied with Carolina. That's January 24th. So there just wasn't enough 5-on-5 scoring. The power play was just okay. The penalty killing was better than it was a year ago when it was last. A year ago they were leading the league, I think, tied with Ottawa with power play goals. But there just wasn't enough at even strength. And John Gibson had a great couple of months. Wasn't maybe as strong. So did that mask the deficiencies that were there? Yeah. They still don't have the depth of another top line left winger. Kane's playing, the right side, whatever you want, with Kopp and DeBrincat, and then Larkin and Raymond, and then what? And Marco Kasper wasn't playing great. Emmett Finney, he's going to be fine for a 7th-round pick. He was a bright spot this year, Emmett Finney. But is he a winger? Is he a center? And then the bottom six, there wasn't enough jam. I think JT Compher had 22 hits all season, something like that. It's just not enough. Just not enough. They traded for Justin Falk. And remember, a year ago, Steve Yzerman was called out by his captain, Dylan Larkin, which was a mistake. You shouldn't do those things publicly. And whether that caused a rift going forward, but Steve did something this year's deadline. They brought in Justin Falk, made some moves to shore up the D. But there are a lot of moves made along the way and players who were brought in that just didn't work, and those who were let go. And the one that, for me, is Shane Gostisbehere. Let go, So.
Does Kane have anything left?
Oh, yeah. He's got something left. Chris Chelios came out and said it's down to 2 teams, Chicago and Buffalo. Well, I know a year ago or so, just talking to Patrick, it wasn't going to be Chicago or Buffalo. Those days were over. But then again, he was very happy here. And then the Larkin situation. So I can see why he's contemplating that. I would hate to see Patrick Kane go. You can see it right there. I love him as a player. And how do you, if Larkin goes, there's potentially 80 to 85 points gone. And if Kane goes, there's another 55 to 60, even with his minutes and sometimes second or third line, depending. So that's a lot of points to disappear. That's like when Mitch Marner left Toronto and 102 points go out the door, not to mention what he was doing for Austin Matthews. And they're going to wax over that with Matthias Michelli at the time. Are you kidding me? It's not going to happen. You're not replacing 102 points out the door, just like they're not replacing 120, 130, 140 points leaving Detroit. Victor Arvidsson's a good pickup in free agency. Expect some others to step up, but I don't know. Patrick Kane, I was with him before the Larkin thing happened, and I have not touched base with him since then. And other than Chelios, it's been pretty quiet of him talking to anybody, so I haven't bothered him. But if it's Chicago or Buffalo, I wouldn't blame him on either one. But I would hope he'd come back. If the Larkin thing, maybe that's why he's waiting. I don't know.
Have you heard any rumors, anything about anyone taking over as GM? And what's Todd McLellan's future?
Oh, I think Todd's fine.
Yeah.
And Todd, I believe he had a 3-year deal, but he's fine. And Todd's made so much money in his career that I think, he can do what he wants in terms of how he handles the players or tough on them or not. He's a good coach. He's a great guy. I like Todd, and he's done wonders with this team. And you always need some changeover. And you've got a little bit of that. And Trent Yanni just done wonders. You can see from Duncan Keith on in his career, those who he's worked with on defense, and Mo Sider and the steps he's taken. You hope that for Simon Edvinsson. And that's the new GM. Whoever takes over has to deal with Simon Edvinsson. He needs a new contract. We saw what happened with Pat Verbeek in Anaheim and young players. You got a good young player. And if you were in the mix for Quinn Hughes, which I'm sure the Red Wings were, I'm sure Quinn wanted to come to Detroit. But, the deal wasn't there, and Simon Edvinsson may or may not have been part of that, but it probably would have been, just like Zeke Bouillon was. It would be Simon Edvinsson to try to make that deal. I don't even know how you replace Simon Edvinsson at 6'6". Quinn Hughes is a totally different player, but you got to get Simon Edvinsson done. So that's who the new GM will have to look after. There's obviously a search going on, and as I tell, just people I speak to, or friends of mine who call me, and they're going to come up with some name. I said, yeah, but you know what? You didn't know the name of Bill Zito when he came on board, did you? You didn't know the name of Eric Tulsky, who was, doing analytics 10 years ago and knew more about rocket science probably than anybody else and still does. He's brilliant. You didn't know that name, and look what he did. So there are a lot of AGMs, analytic folks out there. Do they go in the different direction? There's a search committee. I don't know who that is that's making this, or do you go to bring up names like Jim Nill, who's in Dallas? Does he want to change? Is he coming back? I would put out, Doug Armstrong, is that a name that made? But I think when he was going for the Toronto job, St. Louis said no. So you can't, but times have changed then, and Steen's more set in St. Louis. So is it a Doug Armstrong, who has close ties with Steve, obviously from Hockey Canada times? And there are many AGMs and others and agents. I mean, Pat Brisson may as well come on. He represents half the Red Wings, including Kane and Larkin and everything. He's got everybody. So just come in and do the contracts and take over there. So, there's agents who come on board. So I don't know. I think it's an exciting time. I think a change now, when you look at it, had to be made. Just the rift with Dylan and other things around the league, and Pat Verbeek, who worked for Steve and got stuck out in Anaheim, and you don't want to get into that situation. So live and learn. You got to evolve. And I think that's what they're doing. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, interesting times ahead in Detroit for sure. Ken, I want to shift from kind of some of the negativity over the last month and a bit with the Red Wings and talk about something a little more positive. And like I mentioned off the top, you're such an iconic voice when it comes to play-by-play in our sport and sports in general. I would say equally as iconic is the man that you've shared the booth with for a really long time. In 2024, The Athletic named you and Mickey Redmond the #1 broadcast duo in the league. You guys have never been outside the top 5 since they started doing this ranking. When you think about your career and the amount of time you've spent sitting next to Mickey, what's special about the relationship that you guys have and all of the great memories that you guys have been able to share? A lot of championships mixed in there.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We're very good friends. We were together today. I just spoke to him half an hour ago. We probably talk not every night, but sometimes he's out there on the backhoe or farming somewhere or fixing something. He was over here looking at my gutters to try and fix those. So, we're very close, and it's wonderful to work with him. And as we say, and we're very proud of, whether it be The Athletic or Awful Announcing or in there, and the winning a couple of years or being second or third and in there. And we take the most pride in that the team hasn't been very good in that time. So we take pride in that. We take pride in the fact that some who don't watch as often, and Mickey's his own brand, like Don Cherry, although politically correct. You could take him in a different way, but he's just a lot of fun, and that's what we try to do. And when the games are tough, not for us to call, but the team's not doing well, and for the most part, the last few years, it's been okay until you get that slide. But we like to say it's E&E, and we like to educate and entertain. And that's what it is. And you can talk about guys being homer broadcasters, and to my point where they were saying, Ken and Mick, they're homer. Well, no, we're not. We work for the home team for sure. Mickey tells it like it is. No doubt about that. And he'll say, boy, if that was called against your team, you wouldn't like it. And that was, when the other team's getting a penalty, if that was called on the Red Wing, we wouldn't like it. That's a horrible call. And he'll say it. And that's why the league sometimes gets peeved with Mickey, or he'll say something and I'll get text from somebody at the league about it. Tell Mick that so-and-so. Well, okay. But he is who he is. And we love it. And I think the fans in Detroit love it. And I also believe when those, those surveys come out where it's fans from other cities. It's not just the local, but when we get from other cities that they enjoy our broadcast, that means a lot. Because, even 2 years ago, I remember doing San Jose, and I love Macklin Celebrini. I love watching that kid play. What a player. And we were focusing on Macklin and his dad and working for Golden State and telling Macklin Celebrini stories. Not a lot, but when we go into any game, our former Fox Bally, FanDuel, whatever it is, now it's Detroit Sportsnet. It's a lot of monikers, but we go into every game with stories, and we'll focus more stories because we know our fans know our team. We're not ignoring our team, as Jack Daniels is ignoring me going back and forth here. So we don't ignore our team, but we like to bring fans up to date on the other team. So we were doing the game in San Jose, and we were talking lots about Macklin Celebrini. And sometimes we'll know when it's too much and back off a bit, but maybe twice a period or focus on him or something like that. So if it's 5 times in a game, we don't think that's a lot for it. And someone reached out on Instagram and, boy, enough about Macklin Celebrini. What about the Red Wings? We've talked a lot about the Red Wings. He's a big Red Wing fan, compliments us. I said, learn about Macklin Celebrini because he's going to be the best player in the National Hockey League in about 4 years. So why don't you learn about Macklin Celebrini? You see him twice a year, and one of those is at 11 o'clock at night because we're on the West Coast. So come on. Learn about the other guys in the league. And that's what we take pride in. We go into every game trying to find stories. If we're going to morning skate, get stories, or not even the best player on the other team, but a story that's cool, neat, different. You didn't hear about, or the other play-by-play guy from that team will tell me a story about him. We'll try to flush that out. Well, isn't that cool? We tell stories about the referees, or, it's about the game, and it's the good of the game. And that's what we try to do, make people aware of the good in the game, the great players we have in the game, because soon to be 34 teams, we don't see enough of those players through the season.
Well, I tell you,
you're absolutely right.
Since they took Joe off TV here in Toronto, we don't have a guy who, as a Leaf fan, I can watch and saying he's a fan of the team. They've taken that away from the Leafs. And I just think, we're disserviced by it, and keep doing what you're doing. That's what I can say. Because I do watch the opposing team broadcast, because quite frankly, I don't think much of the local broadcasts.
Right. And the local, well, you're saying like it's Sportsnet and it's more national, and and I see that. And then it's funny though, you can see comments sometimes, and they'll get on Simpson and yet he's sort of, as you say, the Leaf guy. So it all depends. I just had a meeting today downtown, and we were talking about that with our new folks who are MLB, Major League Baseball out of Secaucus, is actually running our broadcast to do with baseball because of what happened with FanDuel. So, and they're hockey guys, so they know. They've been working in the National Hockey League for a long time, and they went to baseball, so they've been in production trucks, and so they know the game and they know our broadcast. But we were talking about that and homerism, and I remember doing a game, I don't know, so many years ago with Hockey Night in Canada, and I was doing Calgary, Vancouver. My brother lives in Calgary, and I'm calling the game. I was doing it with Jim Kuplinski, I think, that game. So long ago that was, and I'm calling the game and whatever. And the next day, my brother calls me, and the game is in Vancouver. And he calls me and he said, I can't believe how you were so pro Canucks. And I go, do you think I give a shit if Vancouver wins? You're in Calgary. Exactly. You're my brother. And you think I'm being a homer for Vancouver? There's no I in team, but there's 2 I's in invoice. I don't care who wins. I'm calling the game.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter to me.
Exactly.
And are we better off, or Mickey and I, are we better off with Detroit winning? Sure, because everybody's happier. It's better for storylines. It's better for everything. but I don't go home all depressed I'll go home more depressed if we missed 3 stories we want to get in, or I talked over a goal because I was trying to get a story in, and I'm talking to my producer on the way home, Brian Henry, and I said this in the meeting today. I said, it's funny, the Red Wings can win or win late, and the first thing we're talking about, that story we did on so-and-so, we hit that because we got this picture in. That's what we're talking about. So there's so many games during the year and so many goals that are called during the year. I've never had a perfect broadcast. Don't know if I ever have. I don't know if any of us ever have. There's always something that slips, or a name or a number, or you get something wrong, or the timing wasn't right on something. It's never perfect, but that's what we pride ourselves in, is doing a good broadcast, entertain the people. That's what it's about. And if the team's winning, that's great. It's not like, I can watch some broadcast in the league and it and could probably tell me which one it is, where I left the room one night, and I'll never forget, it was years ago, and I come back in, I said, when did it become 2-1 and the visiting team scored? And then I rewind it, and it's scores. What? Someone scored? Oh, okay. I must have missed that. So it's like, there's a Red Wing call for me. There's a Red Wing call, and then there's the other team call. It's not quite where the Red Wings are.
No.
And it was this year was another loss in March, and I can't remember who we were playing, but they had scored late. It wasn't the awful Florida game where the Red Wings were up, and didn't that cost them? And Florida scored 2 in like the final minute and a half and won the game. It was crazy. Didn't get a point out of it. But there was another game, and the visiting team scored, and I didn't go scores, because there's that level. And I went below that. And we go to commercial, and Mickey goes, you undersold that one. I said, you're right. I did. It pissed me off because it was the other team scoring, but I knew in my head, it wasn't I don't get excited when the other team scored, but there's a level, doing play-by-play, you can get there. And I know I didn't, because I was sort of peeved that they scored, but not to the point where it usually affects me. But for some reason that night it did. And I go, don't let that happen. And it can happen, just a moment.
And good on Mickey for calling that out on you.
Oh yeah. Well, he does it during commercial break, not on the air.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
Well, you may have been working the game when I was doing Leaf Radio many, many years ago at Maple Leaf Gardens, in that beautiful position in the press box of Maple Leaf Gardens, and we were doing the Minnesota North Stars, and I'm calling the game, and I'm doing the game with Bill Waters, and I'm calling the game, and I said, you were so close to the action, right? It was number 27, and I think it was Shane Churla, and I'm calling the game, and Shane Churla throws it up the boards and goes in, and the Leafs score, whatever, they go for a change, and on the air, Wilbur says, Kenny boy, I don't think Shane Churla's playing tonight. Now, on the air. Now, it's either Shane Churla or Sean Chambers. I don't remember, but it was one of those two. And on the air. Now, I'm just filling in for Joe Bowen here, trying to gain my chops here, doing Leaf Radio. I was doing 15 games a year, and my heart, goes into my mouth. And I looked down, I said, well, if number 27 isn't Shane Churla, please you tell me who that is. And then there's silence. He goes, oh, sorry about that, but you don't, to my point,
no,
you
exactly.
don't do that on the air.
100%.
You don't do that on the air. Now, I think it was, and again, I could be mistaken on which one it was,
fine.
But it was his client. So maybe he told him before the game he wasn't playing.
That's funny.
Right?
That's funny.
And it got in his head. But I'm going,
that's funny.
So I always tell, broadcasters that, or analysts, not necessarily that story, but if you make a mistake, it's okay to point it out during a break or let them know, because I don't want to keep making the same mistake.
No, for sure.
Yes.
There was the story, it was during COVID, and your old boss, John Shannon, and, we started doing it off the television, and Shannon called me after the game. It was the first ones we did at a studio, because, it was all by remote. And Shannon said, you guys are screwed, meaning not just Mickey and me, but broadcasters in general. And I said, why is that? He said, because you're too good at this, like calling it off a huge monitor right in front of you, and that's
Joe Bowen.
Yeah. Well, yes, when they went to, it was Morgan Riley, right? And they went
but I just mean in general, as them not traveling was
not traveling.
Embarrassing and ridiculous for the Leafs to travel a radio team. Anyway,
but that
I'm not
one,
going to get on that again.
Yeah, no, but I always thought that was sort of crazy.
It is sort of crazy.
It is.
It's very crazy.
Especially in his last year too. He should have been traveling all the time.
100%.
100%.
That was unfortunate.
When did you do these? When did you start?
I started, my first game was January and I just looked at it the other day, and the funny thing is,
In 1988, Kenny?
Was it 88?
Hang on.
He might have the game sheet sitting right there.
No, I don't have the game sheet, but I do have the game. It was there you go, telemedia.
There you go. That could be my writing on that.
No, it's typed.
Oh, it's typed. Okay.
It's typed. However, it was January 25th, 1989, Boston at Toronto.
89.
And
I might have been there with you.
Maybe Andy Brickley got the winner in overtime.
Okay.
I do remember that, and I wound up working some NBC games with Andy Brickley back in the day.
Neat.
Yeah. So that was my first game, and on that one, Alan Davis, our old boss, and still I love Alan, and gave me my chance to do play-by-play, and my chance happened for this game because it would have been, so if that's January, I was after the Seoul Olympics in '88. My apartment had been robbed.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a superintendent. Anyway, I know that. Oh, that makes you sick. So I wanted to move, so I bought a house because I was probably robbed in October. After 5 weeks in Seoul or whatever, I come home, I'm robbed, want to buy a house, and I've got the house. And Alan calls me like 2 days before, if this was a Wednesday. I don't know if you're Rain Man, you may know the calendar in your head. But anyway, somebody called me, Alan called me on Monday and said, Ken, it was probably Romanek who was filling in for Joe at the time or whatever, and he couldn't do it. So Alan, I'd never done play-by-play before. Never. I did the Seoul Olympics. I did every other sport, canoeing, kayaking, rowing. I did velodrome, road racing. And they said, he can't do the game. Will you fill in for Joe on Wednesday night? And I said, Alan, I'm moving on Wednesday. I just bought a house. And Alan's quote to me was, and I'll never forget it, I wrote about it in my book, well, get one of your friends to move your fucking ottoman.
Exactly. And the rest is history.
That's right. And I said, he goes, I'm offering you Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. Now, I'd hosted Hockey Night in Canada, but from doing that and getting like 15 games a year, that's how I met John Shannon, who was producing Minnesota North Stars games when Dave Hodge was doing play-by-play. And at the old Marriott, and you stayed after games when John Brophy was coaching, and you'd stay after games, and John met me. We went for a drink after games, didn't know him at all, met me. And then when he came back to Hockey Night in '94, I was talking with the Vancouver Canucks about going out there to do radio if Jim Hewson didn't want to leave Toronto to go back to Vancouver, which of course he did, and he would get the job. But John Shannon, who I just met a few times, I was hosting Hockey Night, said, John said, Ken, I hear you're going for the Vancouver job, but if you don't get it, I'd like to move you from hosting to play-by-play, but you have to do one thing. I said, what's that? He said, you have to give up radio. I don't want any bad habits. And that means too much of a descriptive play, talking, more than one should. There's not the Bob Cole and the Heisman rule, but still, there's that mix. And I thought that was great, Clarkie, because that year, I think CKO took the rights from the radio station. I believe we lost the rights for a year, I think. So it didn't really matter. Didn't really matter to me. Rights for the radio station did that. Okay, I'm good. So, and that's what happened. And that's how I'd never done a game until Alan Davis gave me that chance. And then John Shannon, after maybe 45 games. So to never call a game in the American Hockey League or junior, which wouldn't have been a bad thing. But that's when, Dan Shulman and I think along the same lines, that there's no such thing as luck. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And that's what I tell kids. So everything you did to prepare for whatever day, when Alan Davis came to me and said, get someone else to move the fucking ottoman, I had known I had done velodrome. I'd never done hockey, but I had done velodrome play-by-play. I'd done, road racing that I never knew I could do. I did a little bit of baseball off the monitor. So I knew enough and had been in radio and long enough in television, long enough that it prepared me that, I could probably do this. So that is luck, right place, right time? Sure. But if you're not prepared for that opportunity when it arrives, you're going to be too scared or you won't take advantage of it. Yeah. So luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Perfect. And I was telling
well said. Absolutely.
Ryan, I was in Detroit there for the Lionel Richie concert a couple weeks ago, and I'm looking around. I'm like, do I know anyone in Detroit? And I'm like, oh, the only guy who probably lives here is Ken Daniels, who I worked with back in the 90s. And literally 20 minutes later, I'm at the washroom and I'm walking by a bar and I look and there's Ken Daniels at the same Lionel Richie concert.
There he is.
Yeah. Well, I was there really as much as you love Lionel, and we
Yes.
saw Lionel. I saw Lionel at Scotiabank in Toronto maybe 4 years ago.
Yep.
With Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yep.
But my wife and I really go, and I met Verdine and Ralph Johnson and Philip Bailey. We were backstage with them one time through friends. We got pictures with them years ago. I've seen Earth, Wind, and Fire 20 times, as much as you've seen Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
I love, if you were on a desert island and I had to listen to, Earth, Wind, and Fire greatest hits, and if you're not listening to Boogie Wonderland, just doesn't get you excited. I mean, how can you be in a bad mood hearing that?
Yeah.
Well,
I was wondering because you were still in the bar, and I'm like, he's coming on stage any minute. You're gonna miss the beginning.
Lionel. Yes,
Lionel.
I know. Say you, say me. No, that was the end. Yes. Yes.
Hello.
No, I got there.
Hello was the beginning. You got there? Okay, good.
We got there. We got there for Lionel. I think for Lionel, where did I leave on Lionel? I didn't stay to the very end, but I saw your post on Instagram, actually. So I saw the very end.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you got
There you go.
Clarky filmed the whole show.
He did,
I
Brian.
always do.
He had everything.
I'm at
100%.
18 or 19 Lionel concerts anyway.
There
Have
you
you?
go.
Kenny, we
Kenny
kept
is-
you too long. Thank
No,
you.
you didn't. What else do I have to do?
I don't know.
Well, Kenny, I do
Okay,
want to
goodbye.
ask you two
Yeah.
quick things before
Okay.
we let you go, and your advice to young broadcasters is very sage, absolutely. When you've had a career as long and illustrious as yours, especially voicing Red Wings games, there's a lot of calls that come to mind that stick out. Most of my favorites involve you saying Datsuki and Deke.
Oh yeah, well,
Where'd that come from? Like, did that just fall out one day because he's the Magic Man for a reason? Like, where'd that come from? Because it's one of my all-time favorites.
Well, thank you. I think it came from probably Danny Gallivan and the Savardian Spinorama, and it's just alliteration.
There you go.
That's probably where it came from. And Datsuk and Deke, and what a Deke that is, Datsuki and Savardian. That's where it came from. It was just trying to apply that, and originally that was not Denny Savard, that was Serge Savard. And then it became Danny Savard later in Montreal. But and Danny Gallivan, as he tells the story, the Savardian Spinorama just came from Danny Gallivan when the LA Kings came into town, and he's out in Los Angeles, and everything was a lot of, I don't know, in the late 60s or whatever, and everything was about bowling, and everything was bowlerama. That's what Danny said. I was with Danny at a fantasy camp in the 80s in Lake Placid, New York, with Gordie Howe was playing. I got elbowed in the head by Gordie. I have that on tape, and Danny Gallivan calling it. And Daniels goes down. How cool is that to have? So Danny was in Los Angeles, so everything bowlerama this, bowlerama that. And that's how he came up with the Savardian Spinorama. Just alliteration. So that's what Datsuk was, Datsuki and Deke. And Pavel and I were tight. He thanked Mickey and me in his acceptance speech for the Hall of Fame, which I thought was very cool of him to do that. We love him. There's a great Datsuk story when he came into the league, and Datsuk skated really like bow-legged. And
Yes.
I had said something on the air in that regard, and Mickey and I were sitting right in front of Pavel, whose English wasn't good at the time, even though it was much better, as we found out, than he ever let on. But he's sitting with Igor Larionov, and Mickey and I are in the bus, and the bus is going, and I feel this tap on my shoulder, and it's Igor. He said, Kenny, Pavel no like when you say he skates like a monkey. I said, I didn't say he skated like a monkey. I said he skated like an orangutan.
Very different.
Yes. And Igor says, you know what I mean. And I said, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I get it.
When the professor speaks,
Yes.
you listen. So
That's right.
boy.
And I did. But I did say orangutan. I didn't say he skated like a monkey. But he did, just how he was. I love Pavel. Pavel was the greatest, and he was so funny. And what a good dude. Those were days where you could hang out with the guys when I wasn't grandpa to the younger guys and the guys in the team, and I'd go watch a movie one night with Larry Murphy, who's now doing broadcast, but I could go out with Larry Murphy and Brendan Shanahan and Marty Lapointe. And, I remember one night where we were going out afterwards to see a movie, we were going for a drink, and they said, do you want to go one more with me or somebody else? And Marty Lapointe, it was 11 o'clock. Not that there were strict curfews then, and Bowman was coaching, it was 11 o'clock. And he goes, no, Stevie's not out. We better go back. That's how much respect they had for Steve Yzerman.
As they should. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, Ken, the last thing I want to, give you a chance to talk about, if you want, I know you've been a very vocal advocate for addiction treatment and addiction services, obviously. If you want to speak a little bit about that, I know that it's something that's really near and dear to you.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's it's been 10 years now since we lost my son Jamie at 23. Substance use disorder. He was in Florida, got patient brokered. You can Google that on how the greedy side of the recovery business back then, and we didn't know back then what we know now, how kids are coerced to go stay somewhere that wasn't sober. And you don't know, Jamie took a pill that he shouldn't have taken because he had 228 days of sobriety. And when you're sober, those days count and they matter. So 228 days studying for his LSATs. He wanted to be a sports agent. He was clerking at a law firm, and a doctor put him on a pill that was generic for Xanax, which made him feel better than he was. And that doctor, it was part of an insurance scam. We were one of 5 indictments against that doctor, Michael Ligotti, who was to serve 20 years in prison. We had a victim's impact statement. He's serving 12 in federal prison for his part in the insurance fraud scheme, of which was close to $800 million. And Jamie was a part of that, where you'd get a bill for $17,000 because he peed in a cup. That's what it was. And it was all this through this non-sober home, and they get a kickback from the doctors. That's how it worked. But you entice with free rent. And Jamie was 23. He was working. He said, Dad, I'd rather save some money. I didn't know back then. None of us knew that the recovery business in Florida was so corrupt, which it has now been changed. Not fully, but somewhat. So we started the foundation at jamiedanielsfoundation.org. If anybody's interested, we have 7 or 8 main events now that we've done, with the roast of Mickey Redmond, of Brett Hull, of Scotty Bowman, the roast and toast of Nick Lidstrom and Thomas Holmstrom. You know which one was roasted there and which one was toasted. And we're roasting Chris Osgood August 29th at Motor City Casino here in Detroit. And we're approaching close to $3 million raised since we started the foundation in 2018. We support 11 Michigan colleges here. We have a $500,000 investment for a doctor here in ARC for adolescent recovery, whether they have insurance or not, and they need help. They can go there and they can get it. And there's recovery coaches on campus and scholarships if kids have to leave to go through recovery. And when they come back, there's recovery coaches for them. So we write grants for that. The colleges apply for. So that's what we're doing in Jamie's name. And we're very proud of that. And I think he is proud of us. I have to believe that.
Absolutely,
sure.
man. Well, like I said, I've always appreciated your work and the bar that you've set for broadcasters, but I equally appreciate the great humanitarian work that you guys continue to do in Jamie's name. Please visit the website if that's something of interest to you, or you're looking to get some help. Kenny, we really appreciate this. Pavel Datsyuk might have been the magic man on the ice, but as far as I'm concerned, you're the magic man behind the mic, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this, Ken.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Chris. And I'll say one more thing. And wherever you're viewing this, if you can't come to the dinner, obviously in Detroit, August 10th, I believe, our auction will be up through jamiedanielsfoundation.org through GiveSmart. And I got to tell you, it is fabulous. I mean, Macklin Celebrini stick, one of those game used sticks. We've got sports memorabilia from everywhere. And I'd really like someone to bid if he doesn't come back, because you see the Patrick Kane jersey there, the Centennial jersey. It's signed by the entire team. I've got one. It's a Dylan Larkin jersey signed by the whole team. Will someone bid on it? Please. We've got lots of Larkin merchandise that I really have to move now. If it doesn't end well, Dylan's supposed to come to the dinner. I'm not so sure now he's going to show up. But Zach Werenski's coming. A lot of our players are coming. But go to jamiedanielsfoundation.org. Yeah. You can bid from anywhere. Yes, it's US dollars. But there are fabulous trips too. Delta Airlines come on board. We've got the Fountain Blue in Florida for night stay. We've got fabulous stuff. So check it out. August 10th. It'll be up till the night of the dinner, August 29th, to bid. So that's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ken. We'll be sharing the link to that and making sure people up here can get some bids in. I'm sure that there's people that'd be interested in some of that stuff for sure. Ken Daniels, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much, Ken.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kenny.
Take care. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Ken Daniels. Man, what a thrill to have that guy on the show. I mean, Clarky, we've talked numerous times just about, my play-by-play journey and, really happy landing where I have with the Storm and hoping to get to another level. And I mean, that's all because of watching guys like Ken Daniels. Like his calls resonate constantly in the mind, especially those 2000 Red Wings teams, the late 90s, early 2000 Red Wings team. Like that team was a juggernaut. They probably should have won more cups than they did, to be honest. Wow. Like they were so good. And like you'd hear Ken's voice alongside Mickey well into the spring every single year. It felt like they were.
Yeah,
in the
don't
Western
remind
Conference
me.
Final all the time. Well, but they were in the West.
I know. I'm not
Clarky,
saying. I'm just a little jealous of all that winning. But like
everybody was.
I just feel like I was so blessed and lucky to grow up in the industry at Maple Leaf Gardens, sitting beside Ken Daniels, Bill Waters, or Ken Daniels and Gord Stellick, and Joe Bowen, and it was a dream come true for a kid out of college to sit right beside these guys. Basically back then it seemed like it was every Wednesday and Saturday night, and I don't know if I ever enjoyed going to work like I enjoyed going down to Maple Leaf Gardens.
Of course.
Like, honestly, it was just such a treat to go down there. Had the best seat in the house. I know you don't cheer in the press box, but I can certainly do a fist pump when the Leafs scored, right?
Yeah.
And hear the game right in my, like, it was an amazing time. And as I said, to sit beside Ken and Joe, two legends in the game now. So it was fun.
Absolutely. I know that there are a number of friends of ours that are Wings fans. I think of our buddy Holden Lansink.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple-time Cherry Cup champion, Sutherland Cup champion.
It's tough, though. Like that Atlantic Division, right?
He loves the Red Wings, so he'll be fired up to see Kenny on the show this week. I know he watches, so congrats to Holden and his family. Yeah, speaking of congratulations, because we have a big golf tournament coming up here, and we know what that means. We got picks.
We got picks coming. Doigie's coming on.
We got our guy Doigie on the way here, and he won the last tournament. He won the U.S. Open. You won the one prior, and now it's time. This is the last big one, right before the FedEx Cup playoffs. We have the Open Championship coming up. The 154th Open Championship.
You know what worries
is going to be played? What worries you?
Sorry to disrupt you.
No, please.
When we get Ian on, it's a lot easier when we start the show with Ian. Reason being, Ian has had some computer issues in the past. So when we bring him on during the show, we have to rely on Ian to figure out his computer issues on his own, because we're talking right now, waiting for him.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Let's hope Ian's very smooth tonight. All the devices get connected properly, and we go forward.
He'll sort it out somehow. He'll sort it out somehow. Worst case, we'll get him on the phone from the car in Montreal.
It should be the same every time. You click the button, and there it goes, right?
Well, that's where he made his picks for the U.S. Open, and he won. So maybe he should get back in the car or something. He won from the car seat in Montreal, and he was a passenger. So maybe he should get back in the car. I don't know. But obviously the 154th Open Championship is going to be played at Royal Birkdale. That's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a heck of a tournament. And I mean, there's a number of big names that are playing really well this year. I know that there are, some English players, some UK players that are having hot seasons that are probably going to get picked in this pick off. It will be Doigie first, of course, being that he won the U.S. Open. It'll be Clarky next, and then me. I'm on a cold streak. The cold streak continues. It's really not good, but I'm going to turn it around here, and I'm interested. Like, will somebody pick Tom Kim coming off of that don't
ask
great
these questions yet? He might be one.
Well,
of my guys.
I'm just wondering, because he's had a bit of a dip the last couple of years after kind of storming onto the scene, and then had a really, really nice Genesis Open.
Yeah.
And we'll see if he ends up maybe becoming one of the pick-off players here. So
okay. I hate to say this.
I
got a text.
Yeah, from Ian Doig.
Not smooth. I can hear and see you. Well, guess what? We can't add him the way things are right now. So he has to figure something out on his end.
He might have to just do it from his phone. I think the phone is the play here. Doigie, if you can hear us, we'll do it on the phone.
They will need to connect their mic and camera before you can add them. Like, he's doing something wrong again. It's like Deja vu all over again.
We'll figure it out. I do want to ask.
No, we can't. He's got to.
I think the play is for Doigy to get on the phone so we can do this pick off here. I'm curious too, just your thoughts on. I saw this. This is a crazy stat, if you will. So for this year, because we're at the final major of the year. And I know some people consider the FedEx Cup. I mean, it's not. It's the Tour Championship. It's different. It's not a major. But we're at the last major. And so this year, 2026, marks the first time since 1989 that neither Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods have played in any of the majors. The first time since 1989 that they haven't played in at least one. Both of them.
Okay.
So that is just, I mean, we talked the last number of years.
Changing of the guard.
The changing of the and Scotty and Fitzpatrick, Tom Kim, Hovland, guys like this. The guard, I mean, it feels firmly changed now. I mean, like Clarky, you saw all of that. And there's Doigy. Here we go. He figured it out.
No, he's on
his phone. I'm on my phone because I was on my computer. And I could see you guys.
Yeah.
I could see you guys. I could hear you guys. You could not see me or hear me. And then I hear Brian go, we need to get Doigy to go on his phone. So here I am. I'm on my phone.
Doigy, if you're nothing else, you're attentive. And we love that. Okay. So let's get right down to business here. We got to do the picks. And you have the honor. Because you won the U.S. Open, so why don't you start us off, Mr. Doig of the Ian Doig Golf Academy, #1 pick for the Open. I feel like I know who it is.
Well, you know what? I don't even, because I'm on my phone, I don't even have a list in front of me.
You don't need the list to pick this guy. Come on.
So I'm, you know what? I'm going off my board today.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
No.
Yeah, I am.
Do it.
It's the golf courses. The golf course is playing hard and fast and firm. There's going to be some wind. There's some. The wind is changing direction tomorrow halfway through the round. It's doing a 180, so the holes are going to play differently. The guys that are in their hotel room in the morning watching, trying to learn how certain holes are playing, that's going to change, so they can't run off of that. I'm going to go with a guy that I think has a little bit of local knowledge. He's been playing quite well of late, and I'm going to go with Matty Skechers.
Come on, you picked my guy.
Wow. Fitzmagic, there he goes.
Pick my guy. I have him right #1 on my list.
He's my guy. Clarky, stop whining and make your pick. Do it. Come on.
Rory.
Can't be thrown off.
McIlroy.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not going with that guy, are you? Really?
I've never heard of him, but yes, Roy McIlroy. He will be Clarky's pick. There you go. I'm going to go with the guy that, look, this guy, when we started doing these picks, he was on my team all the time. And so with my first pick, I got to take a guy who has really turned his fortunes around this year. And I'm going to take a guy that loves the wind and loves fast greens. I'm going to take a guy named Victor Hovland.
I knew that's who you were taking.
And with my turnaround pick, I'm going to take another guy who's had a really, really good year. Watched him win a big tournament. And this guy loves the wind too. As a matter of fact, it's part of his namesake. I will be taking Windy Wyndham Clark.
Look at you go.
Back to Clarky, the other Clark, for his second pick.
Well, I am going to go with a guy who you guys have picked lately. I've always liked them, and I've picked them, a few years back, but I haven't picked them recently. But the old veteran, Justin Rose.
I wonder why you picked him, Clarky. Why did you pick him?
I picked him.
You know this is where he finished.
I picked him in the 80s.
Third in the Open as a 17-year-old kid.
That's right.
The last hole.
Was he your next pick? I hope he was.
He may have been my next pick. He may have been.
Okay, well, you're on deck for two now, Doigy.
So My next pick is going to be another local with some course knowledge. There's a lot of pressure on him this week to play well, but I think he might not win, but I think he's going to contend. And I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
We keep picking each other's picks.
Mr. Doig, give us another.
Run him back up with another guy who I'm a little leery about this one. Only because he's had a sore back.
Oh, here we go.
But he is such a good player. I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa.
Very good. I like that. Yeah, if he can, hey, and you know, when we heard about the back issues, he played well despite that when it first came out that he was dealing with it. So I mean, like if he can grit it out, like, hey, that guy's iron play, it'll play real nice at Birkdale.
Right. He's one of the best ball strikers in the game. So it's kind of tough not to take him, right? So
flat out. Clarky, your third pick in the
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th pick. With the 8th pick in the draft, I will pick Scotty Scheffler.
Yep.
Hard to believe he passed into the 8th pick, isn't it?
Scotty, look, he has been a little all over the place.
I know he has, but you gotta have, he's still like one of the favorites.
He's still Scotty
tournament, and at 8, you gotta pick him.
Yeah, you have to. You have to pick him.
You do. But then now back to me, and at 9, you got to pick this guy, another dude that always shows up in the majors. And I just can't ever say no to him because I love it when he plays well. And I'm looking at the leaderboard with all the players here. Everything's lit up in yellow, and that's sending a signal to me. It's like a bat signal for Hideki Matsuyama. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Because I love Hideki. Wow. You know I love Hideki, okay? And here's another guy with my final pick who can really leave you wanting more sometimes. One of the most talented players on the course, but there's times where he hits balls and you go, what on earth just happened there? And then he'll hit a follow-up shot that leaves everybody breathless. And I feel like he could leave everybody breathless. And with my final pick, I don't feel a problem at all taking a young gentleman named Justin Thomas.
Wow.
I want JT. Who'd you think I was going to pick? Who'd you think I was going to pick?
I'll tell you after he makes his next pick.
Okay, Clark. Yeah, because Clarky will snake mine.
I'm torn here.
Yeah.
It's one of 3 guys. And I just got to make sure I pick the right one. One guy cheats. One guy has a terrible attitude. And the other guy.
So we're talking about Patrick Reed, Tyrrell Hatton,
and the other guy's a brother.
Alex Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. One of those 3 guys. Oh, which one to pick? Which one to pick?
Go with the cheater. They might not catch him this week.
That's right. They may not. They may not.
You know what though? I might steer you the other way. I actually think that Tyrrell Hatton he was a guy on my list. I actually think the temper tantrum Tyrrell could have a good week here.
He could. You didn't pick him in your 4, though.
No, I know, because I like JT more.
Really? Interesting.
As much as I was sandbagging JT, he's
clock,
a little more consistent than Tyrrell Hatton. Okay?
And I might even tell you, Clarky, that whoever you don't pick might be in my list for my last pick.
I like the mind games.
I came in today wanting a Fitzpatrick, so I'm going to pick Alex Skechers.
Okay. You can have him. Alex Fitz, he's all yours. Doigy, close us out on what will hopefully not be another winning team. I need to get off the cold streak. Give me your final pick.
Come on, Doigy.
I'm in a rut. I'm
going to go with Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, nice. I like that. That's a good pick.
That's my guy.
Okay. You don't have guys. You take everybody else's guys.
BS.
And you win every now and again.
BS.
Man. You win every now and again. That's good.
BS.
Yeah.
I have my guys.
So if I win this week, does that make me the season champion? I think.
Yeah, because Clarkie won the Masters. You
won the next two. Oh, I won the Canadian Open though.
I won the PGA.
Open, but we're talking about majors here. Doigie won the PGA, and he won the US Open. So if he wins this, like
that means I'm holding three trophies at the same time.
It's curtains. Yeah, it could be curtains. And then all that's left is the FedEx, right? So I really need a win this week. That's for sure. All right, sir. Well, there we go. There's our picks.
Now, Doigie. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. To recap.
Doigie is rocking with Matty Skechers, the OG Fitzpatrick, if you will. Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Clarkie rolling with good old Rory, Rosie, Scheffler, Alex Fitzpatrick, the younger Fitzmagic. I'm rocking with Victor Hovland, Windy Wyndham Clark, Hideki Matsuyama, my favorite guy, and JT. So we'll see how it all works out here. It's going to be interesting. Clarkie or Doigie, we got a couple minutes left here. Your thoughts on the course, like Royal Birkdale? It's been a while since they've hosted the tournament. What are your thoughts? Look at that, producer Clark.
Well,
What's your thoughts on the course?
I mean, I love the golf course. It plays. There's a lot of different angles to the golf course, so the wind will definitely be a factor in the play this week, and especially if it keeps changing like they're talking it's going to be. The weather's going to be sunny and warm, which is really good. The golf course looks to me like reminds me of Turnberry in 1977 when Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson went head to head in the duel in this, what they called the duel in the sun. If I remember correctly, they both shot 65 the final round, and Watson walked away with a one-shot victory. I see a lot of, if you listen to the commentating today and you listen to the players when they were interviewed the last couple of days, there's holes out there that, depending on what the wind's doing, they could be hitting anywhere from 7-iron off the tee to a driver. So in the same group, you could have somebody hitting a 7-iron, somebody hitting a hybrid, and somebody hitting a driver. And then depending on what type of bounce it gets in the fairway, the driver might drive the green and the 7-iron might go 290 yards. They were talking about guys hitting 5, 6, and 7-irons that were going almost 300 yards. So it's a lot of guesswork. If you hit that, say you're trying to keep it short of a bunker and you hit that mid-iron off the tee to keep it short of a bunker, but your ball lights on the backward side of a hill and kicks and scoots, it might go 40, 50, 60, 70 yards further than you wanted it to, which brings that bunker into play that you're trying to keep short of. So there's going to be a lot of luck involved this week, a lot of course management. It's going to be very interesting to see what players and what they do when they get to the tee decks.
All I want to know,
absolutely,
watching the British Open, or the Open as they call it, what I want to know is, are the flags going to be sideways, and is the rain going to be coming in at some point?
No rain, nothing but sunshine the whole week.
They haven't 76 any rain.
Yeah, 76 and 75 degrees the first 2 days, and then 70 the last two.
I want some sideways
rain. No rain predicted at all, and which is very cool because I'm arriving over there on Friday morning.
Yes, you're going to Ireland, or where are you going?
No, I'm going to Scotland, and I'm arriving over there, and I've looked at the long range forecast for my event, and we're running around 21, 22 degrees and nothing but sunshine for 12 straight days. So
thanks for the invite.
We love it, brother.
Yeah.
Well, have fun over there. Good luck with your picks as always. Thanks very much to our friend Ken Daniels, the legend himself. Please visit the Jamie Daniels Foundation, and you can click on events and find out more information about that great auction that he talked about. Please support that. It's a great cause. Thanks to our buddy Ian Doig. We appreciate everybody watching the show on YouTube and Rogers TV, following along with us on social media at Instigating Pod, and of course, listening to the podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. I'm Drury. That's our friend Ian Doig. That is Clarkie. We will be back next week with more Instigating with Clarkie and Drury.